Hi, True Crime Grapevine fans. It's me, Patti Lee. We are up to we have 3 updates on investigations. So, the first one, raise a glass please to Kiely Rodni's family. They are going through it because people could just not stop talking. So, the last time we had an update, she had been found, and we were waiting to hear more about autopsy results. And Duty Ron is a great resource to go to because he had on a death investigator, Barbara Butcher. She is a physician's assistant and also had 30 years or something at New York City's death investigation, which means she had a lot of investigation all the time. And they talked about after 14 days in the water, would there be a lot of water in her lungs? So if you are immediately found and there's no water in your lungs, that would mean you were dead before you were in the water. If you had water in your lungs, it would mean you drowned. And that might help determine if it was accidental versus if you went in the water unalived, that would be more indicative of something nefarious. The other thing was, I need a little, now I'm looking around to see if I can use something to be a car. I used to have, my kids had little cars all the time. I can't believe I don't have one just right here. But, yes, Katie May. So, this is nothing you want to eat. This is going to be my little car example. So, another problem is Mike and Profiling was asking him which way the car was facing. So, if the car went in the water, so this is land. The car went in the water, it would float for a second, then the engine would be heavier and it would pull down, right? And the car would flip. So if the car, and it wasn't in super deep water, right? So if it really only had room to flip once. So which way would it be? It would be facing back towards land. Now, what if the car was pushed in backwards? And the engine would pull down and it would flip, and which way and then the nose of it would be pointing out towards the reservoir. So Mike asked Doug Bishop of Adventures with Purpose, he asked him twice, which way was the car facing when you found it? Was it facing towards land or was it facing out? And I swear Doug Bishop said that it was facing out. So that would indicate to me, if the car was, and they said there wouldn't be a lot of time because there was windows open. It would have had to enter in backwards for it to be facing out. Because if she had driven in forwards, there was only 14 feet of water. It would have fallen, it would have floated for a second, filled up with water, dipped forwards, and to land on its roof, it couldn't have spun twice. There wasn't enough room. It was 14 feet of water. There was not, and people say, yeah, but it could have gone sideways. Yeah, but even if it was forwards, if it went sideways, it couldn't have gone in, sideways, flip, even sideways flipped, but it flipped again. That doesn't, physics-wise, it seems to indicate to me it went in backwards, which that then completely takes away all of she drove in, because she didn't slide in backwards by herself. I just talked about which way it would fall in the water. And I am telling you, Mike King asked which way it was pointing, and he said it was pointing bloop, bloop, bloop out, which means to me, it went in this way. Because even if it would have shifted sideways, I still don't think it had enough room because it was only in 14 feet of water. And a car is 10 feet long, right? So there's no way, it didn't have If it was in like 25 or 30 feet of water, maybe it could have spun a couple times. But I'm telling you, in that amount of water, it was pulled down and it ended up on its top. It went over head over heels once. And so for it to be headed out, it meant it went in backwards and then flipped once to head outwards. That is my impression. Now, there was another channel that asked Doug about that again, and he said, oh, I don't remember, because I think that's too much information. I don't know, but it seems like AWP is trying not to give up too much because it's an active investigation, but they are trying to say something, and the little bit is, this ain't normal. Like, something happened to her. Okay, so the other thing was, and I don't remember if it was on Zab Girl or if it was Ickadmel channel. I think Ickadmel also had, maybe they had on the same person. Somebody had went out to Prosser Campground and drove where she would have had to go. Now, it wasn't like an easy oops. And the girl driving it during the daytime event, it was like boom, 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 boom. Like she said, my vehicle's almost bottoming out. It wouldn't be where the other road out was paved. So even drunk, she would have been like, this can't be right. Like, it seems like you would know that you were going like down towards the water because you were on this very rutted path. You were not on the path out. So that, and the Nicholas, the driver of the assistance, the roadside assistance, seeing now the cops know because they have the video, because his roadside assistance vehicle, the car, he was called out there. He tried to call the number back, and the girl said, oh, my phone's dead. That's why I called from my boyfriend's phone. But it's unclear. The car would not start because it was in neutral, and it was like they didn't know that. And then they were asking about the seat belts, and this was all the Saturday around 11 o'clock, right about the time that Kiely's mom was wondering, is she going to show up at that McDonald's or Starbucks, wherever they were supposed to meet to go on their trip. Because she knew she hadn't been home by the time she said. She had woken up around 8:30 that morning. She was frantic as to, well, where the hell is she? And they went to where all the kids were meeting because she was supposed to go after the big senior trip. They were going to also then go on this other, they were going out of town to go, I don't know if they were going somewhere to do something sporty. In my head, I want to say skiing. I don't think, but it wasn't skiing. It's not skiing season. They were going somewhere together, the whole group of girls. Anyways, and she didn't show up. So right about that time, but I think they were supposed to meet at 11, so they were going to the meeting spot. At that same time, the car was supposedly it was her car, and the guy said it looked like her and a guy he described, and they were acting squirrely. But was it really Kiely? Was it somebody else? Was it Kiely's car? Again, that's the stuff we don't know. But considering the car went in backwards, see, I don't like that at all. And the third thing that's everybody's talking about, maybe not everybody, that some people have brought up, is that it appears as if one of the party goers was the son of one of the local law enforcement. And we heard that there were adults telling kids not to talk. And there have been pictures, like there obviously was drinking and stuff, but I don't know. Like I said, the car flip, I don't see how it goes in front and ends up out. I don't think it could twist twice. I think it went in backwards and went under and flipped once and landed on the bottom facing out, just like he told Mike King. I think Doug Bishop said it was facing out. It was Nick who wasn't sure. Or maybe it was Doug that wasn't sure, but Nick was, because Nick found it. I don't know. Again, but Adventures with Purpose are still, they're not letting it just be saying it's a no accident. And I trust Adventures with Purpose. I think they do have a purpose, and I think they have a good feel. They did not bring up the car. Oh, that was the other huge thing that happened this week that everybody's talking about. This is very strange. This is very strange because they had the local cops, you know, the sheriff from the county. They had FBI. They had 2 counties, right? Because they had the sheriff, they had Placer, and they had Nevada, and they had FBI. I don't know. I believe there were other agencies out there. And sometimes they say too many cooks in the kitchen spoils the supper or whatever. But what's weird is they bring up this car, and we know that they hurt the side of it because we could see in the Adventures with Purpose that wasn't all broken. So the driver's window side window busts, and the thing falls off, probably because of when it was hauled out that way. Adventures with Purpose, they didn't haul it out because they said what they would have done. They would have gotten anything that was within reach. They would have gotten out like the items out of the car because it's evidence. Then they would have contained it with netting to make sure nothing else floated out. And I've seen them. They have big, huge floats that bring up things. They have ways to do things so that they said they would have brought it out upside down and then gotten it up. Like they would have kept everything exactly how it was. Instead, flipping all of that in the water, breaking things, and then they took the car away. Then this Check It TV, this happened. So I'm talking to you on Tuesday or Wednesday. What is today? Wednesday. Last Friday or Saturday, Check It TV came out and said, it's a YouTube channel, and they were going, the guy was on one of those paddle boards, and you could see down to the bottom, he's like, do you guys see what I see? And he had his camera, and he stuck his camera in the water. It was very obviously a MacBook, which is insane. It's insane because he could see it. It was clear enough to see the bottom right there from the paddleboard. And we do know that the water is going down because of the climate issues over there right now. Like they're not getting rain. But you guys, then the guy went down then just with, I think he just like dove with a simple little, what do you call it, scuba, you know, like a thing, went down, picked up the MacBook, which is Carly's. Then they called the police, and the police were like, yeah, like basically, like he had called before he touched it, I think, and then waited around for an hour, and nobody was showing up, and they were like, well, like basically we'll get to it when we get to it. What is happening? There's this huge case, and they left evidence in the water in plain sight, a computer. Because you know, computer stuff, you can link it all up. Because I don't think they ever found her phone. So this is insanity that they just let stuff float out of the car as they pulled the car up and got her. So I don't know who's doing the autopsy. And it's horrible that we have to now not trust law enforcement because they're acting squirrely. That's weird. Why would you leave? We know you don't leave electronics behind. Even if they would have left like, oh, the Truly can. And like, I mean, you think in a unclear accident, like we're not sure why it happened, we're not sure what happened to her, that they would grab everything, right? And even, I don't know if it was Duty Round or on Mike on Profiling Evil, but there was you can get fingerprints. I think it was Ed Wallace on Duty Round. You still can get fingerprints on something that you touched as long as nothing else has touched it and like whatever. But you can get fingerprints off of things that have been in water. So, but to leave it in there, to let it float away, that's insane, isn't it? I don't know. I don't like that. That with the rumors that somebody whose child was at the party is a cop. That smacks a little bit of like small town cover up. I don't know. So, Do we need to keep up on this one? Yes, we need to keep up on it, because are they going to, I mean, you know that even though it's been in the water, they can find things. Like, digital never dies. Hashtag digital never dies. Remember that. No matter what you think you're destroying stuff, literally, unless you can somehow put it through a huge, like, kiln fire, I don't know how you'd have to really destroy it. And then it can be in the cloud. So anyways, I don't know, man. This is not great. Something still is very wrong, and I'm going with Adventures with Purpose. If I have to choose, I'm choosing them. Keep looking at this. If somebody did something, we need to make them responsible. We can't bring her back, but that kind of person goes on and does other stuff. We need to find out what happened. All right, so that was the update on the investigation, accidental death of Kiely Rodni. 2 updates for you on cases where supposedly there is no crime, but I'm still wondering. Okay, number 1. Last week we talked about Jill Sidebottom. She was a mom from Maine, and she was engaged and going to be moving in the next day with Corey, her fiance, and her 2-year-old Lydia was going with her. And then Nick Hansen, who was her daughter's husband, who the dad said they didn't see her much, she was living with her mom and dad, showed up suddenly and they took off. Now, everybody's wondering, where were they? Were they camping? Did he kidnap her? Blah, blah, blah. So they have been found, I guess, by the police say, yeah, they made contact with them. I mean, the story, I don't know that much about technology, because I have heard that you can make up text messages. So Jill still is not talking. Nick is saying Jill doesn't want to talk. Jill wanted to get away from her family. It was a horrible situation. She was the one who instigated. She wanted to get rid of their phones. It was all her wanting to get away from them. Now, the dad made it sound like this guy had interpersonal, IPV issues before, and he actually called in to Mel's show. Mel, please go watch him. It's a great channel. He talked about this case. Hardly anybody was talking about it. Then it got a little traction, and when it got popular, then all of a sudden this Nick Hansen was like, we found out, and then I just wanted people to know we were fine. And she asked me to come save her. She wanted me. Now, the story was, like, he had lost custody of his other 2 children and had quit his job days before. And it just so happened that right as he lost access to his other 2 kids, that Jill was like, hey, by the way, come and save me from this guy I'm moving in with tomorrow. She is not saying it. He is saying. He called into Mel's show. He said, this is how Jill feels. He said, no, we talked to the police. No, the police talked to Jill. And I don't know, but if you remember Gabby Petito and Brian's little interaction by the side of the road and how that went, people talk to the cops and say all kinds of, no, it's not me. It's I want to be here. I mean, who knows what the real story is? I just don't feel comfortable that nobody's heard from Jill. It's all through Nick. He's controlling the whole narrative. And I don't know if Mel followed up with police, or if the police could talk to somebody else besides the parent. I don't know. So everybody now, this situation, I just think watch this space. Because I find it hard to believe that the dad had this, like, it was unbelievable and they didn't know where she went and they were all worried, where was she? And her story is somehow she was in a horrible situation. She had to get out of there. Her fiance is still like, I have no idea what the hell is going on. When you have a family and a fiance who are still like, what the hell happened? And the guy did have a record. Oh, he had a story from Mel, though, about how, oh no, because they said I beat her up, but I got up and I hit her with my elbow, and then I hit her again with my elbow, and it was all such a mistake, and it was a misunderstanding. When the dad had said, no, he had her in a bedroom, he wouldn't let her out of the bedroom. I said I was coming, he hit her. His story is, no, it was just accidents of, oh, it was just all just a, smells bad. I think we're going to hear more about this, and it probably won't end up well. I do not believe that she's there of her own free will. I believe she's saying that because he's threatening to kill them or to kill somebody. I think she's afraid, and she's going to stay with him because that's the story of that story. That's my personal, I can't prove that. That is just my speculation. Again, as we know, these type of channels are all just entertainment, edutainment purposes. I am not a law enforcement person. I am not an investigative anybody. But I am telling you, this is not, we will hear more about this, and it's not going to end well. This is not right. I don't believe. Sorry, Jill. And I would guess that law enforcement doesn't believe it either. I think everybody's onto this dude, and we're going to find out, hopefully, before he does something bad. All right, and so the other little part I want to put with this, hey, it's not, it's investigated, and it's not a crime, but isn't it? Is, we, way back in, around Memorial Day, I believe it was, no, it was around 4th of July, because it had been the July weekend, and this woman, Chrissy Powell, had argued with the father of her 3 or 4-year-old about something, the mom said, but she knew he was okay. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. And she was at home then with her 10-year-old and was going to work, and she was the woman that they saw on the Ring camera leave her house, and she didn't take her phone with her. And it seems like she was in a rush, and she had called her work and said, oh my God, I'm running late. Her job was like 7 miles away, but instead of going to her job when she left, what we knew is she disappeared, and we had the make of her car, and we had her license plate, and she was a missing person. And that went on for 3 weeks. And then when she was gone for just over a month, suddenly her car was found in a mall. She was found deceased in the passenger seat. And then the story was and it was within 2 miles of her house. The opposite way from work, but really close to her house. So she called into work to say she was going to be late. She seemed to be running in a rush out the door. And the story is, the story was then, well, where was she for the 2.5 weeks before? Because they said, oh, her car, we see it on surveillance, it was there for a week. Now, this was Texas, San Antonio, in July, during a heat wave, right? And there was a highway near where this, she was parked on the edge of the parking lot of this fancy kind of mall. And it had security. And we know, everybody in San Antonio, everybody in America, all the true crime people, we're all talking about this woman who's missing. Daily Mail UK, online. Everybody's talking about her. All the true crime things are talking about this missing woman. Here's her car. Here's her description. Here's when she left. This is what we know. She needed medication. We never found out what that medication was for. And she was found, now the autopsy is out. So she was found the end of July, early August. And now the autopsy is, she was, hyperthermia, meaning too hot, right? And intoxication. So are we saying that at 11 in the afternoon, she said, I'm running late for work, sorry. Went to this mall, drank in the passenger seat, and just passed out, died, and what? Suicide. No. She had a 3-year-old son and a 10-year-old son, or 12-year-old son, I forget, 10 or 12, at home. No. No, she did not tell her new job that she'd only been working there for a week, that, I'm really sorry, I'm running late. She didn't just then, and then her car wasn't there, but then now the story is it was there the whole time. She went straight there. Bullshit. Bullshit. Sorry. Bullshit. She did not. Everybody was looking for that car. AWP would tell you, you look in an urban area, you would look like within 5 miles. In rural areas, they go out 10 from where they were last known to be. And we know from that Ring camera where she was last known to be, at home. And she was found within 5, maybe, miles from her house. Maybe it was less than that. In a mall, and nobody noticed a body in a car. When it was all over the news, that car, that license plate, the surveillance, something like, oh, it was there for a week, that's why nobody notices. And then everybody's like, yeah, but she was gone for like 3. Oh, no, it was there the whole time. Okay. She was found in the passenger seat, intoxicated. I don't know, did her husband, her ex-boyfriend who had her 3-year-old, did he say, oh my God, you need to come give the baby something and hold her there, make her drink, withhold her medicine, and once she expired, drive her in her car and leave her there, and he walks away? I don't know, but something else happened. My way is much more logical explanation than she was late for work, but and has 2 little kids and killed herself with alcohol, and then got hot. Oh, it's suicide. None of that makes any sense. Accidental suicide, none of it. Nobody drives, and if you do that, you're gonna sit and you're just gonna sit in the driver. If you're despondent like that, you're in the driver's seat drinking yourself to death. I get, like, whatever. You are not in. You don't crawl over to the passenger side. You don't. You don't. That's all wrong. So what is wrong with Texas? Do not go to Texas if you're a woman. That just seems wrong. All right. I have a quick update on some court cases. Oh my gosh. Please like, please subscribe. Tell me in the comments, seriously, do you think really Chrissy Powell was in a mall parking lot when all of the world had her car, make, and number and was looking for her for 3 weeks before somebody recognized that she was there? And she was in the passenger seat. Somebody could tell me how that works out, please, because I don't believe it. I think we're going to run out of battery power soon. So let me just tell you about the dyslexic detective. The court case about Naomi, which is such a pretty name, but I do have a hard time saying it, Arians. She was the young lady who was unalived out in Fenley, Nevada. She was waiting for her ride. She worked at the Panasonic factory in Reno, and she lived in Findlay, which was a small suburb, but rural in Nevada. And she was waiting at a Walmart for the Panasonic bus to take her there. There was a shuttle bus. And like the runner that we talked about, she did this every morning when it was dark, parked in the same area, same place, every day. We know, change up your routine if you're a woman alone. If you can't have somebody go with you. I think if you were doing something like that and where the shuttle bus goes, walk into the Walmart. Wait right there until, and then just walk out as it arrives. Some safety feature. Anyways, she was a regular 18-year-old kid and was just probably, I think they said she listened to podcasts and music. Anyways, Troy Driver was seen on surveillance, walking up to her car, makes her get over, takes her. The car is found later, and I do believe his DNA was found in the car and also all over her because there was an unaliving out in an area where he worked, where there are mines and such, and one of his, I think, co-workers noticed he wanted to go to an area too much. He was checking. They did find her. It was out, actually so far it was in another county, so that was a little bit of a problem between Lyons County and I believe Church County. He was arrested. Well, now he thinks he's incompetent. Of course, hello, right? Bye, Letitia. It's just another one. How many people do we talk about each week where somebody decides, oh, I think I need to be evaluated. Do you? It's getting to be tiring. I mean, is he a sicko for doing what he did? Like unaliving her, the whole essaying somebody. I believe they said probably after she was unalived. I mean, the dude's got a problem. And we probably will find out this isn't his first rodeo because of how bold he was. This wasn't just something he did the first time. So, yeah, Troy Driver, I don't think you're crazy. So, yeah, he is going to be evaluated. So he hasn't even had... I don't even know if he's had his arraignment. I think he was arraigned, but we haven't even made it to his preliminary hearing because his preliminary hearing got put off. And Big E on Twitter, who is docket at Chasing Papers 89, he was following this very closely, and he said there was talk on the interwebs that he had unalived himself. It turned out it was an attempt. But just because you attempt to do that doesn't mean you're crazy. I mean, have you realized you're a horrible person? Oh, okay, so have we. I mean, yeah, you have to live with that now. But that's not incompetent, in my opinion. Anyways, so that is that court case little bit. I'm just going to put that together with the Montgomery case, where we have Kayla Montgomery, who is was the stepmother of Harmony Montgomery, the little girl that was given custody in Massachusetts to her father, and they didn't check him out and didn't check out his history, which now they are just designating him as a career criminal because he was, including the big M, burglary with assault weapons, hurting people, domestic violence. I mean, he never should have gotten custody of this little girl. Anyways, now Harmony has been declared assumed dead by the authorities because of evidence they found at the residence where Kayla last lived with Adam. Even though they no longer live there, they still found evidence there. This is in Manchester, New Hampshire. Kayla has been arrested and out on bond. She does have drug problems. They knew this. She, I guess, was helping them, but then they said you got to stay off. You know, the conditions. She was like personal recognizance. She didn't have to pay her bond because they knew she couldn't, but she did have to check in so often. She did have to show up to court. She had to remain clean. So she did not show up to court last Thursday. They had found her the week before. She seemed to be with people who were using, and this time they found out she was using. So she was brought back in. Her bail was revoked. They are trying, so how she was found, so she didn't show up last Thursday to court, like on the 1st or whatever, Friday, 31st. The police went looking for her. And that was the last time I had updated you. Now, the brother of the man who was in the house said, basically, the police came in like blazing, right? Knocked him down, cuffed him. Where is she? She was upstairs, went upstairs, broke through that door, cuffed his brother, cuffed Kayla. Kayla and the brother were taken to jail, and they had other charges. This guy, David, he was let out because he wasn't really doing anything. He said he was getting ready to go to the corner store. He just knew his brother had a guest. He didn't know who she was. He didn't know what they were doing. Anyways, so, yeah. David's brother, was handcuffed and led away because the brother, because the brother brought Kayla into the house, was harboring a fugitive. David was left at home. He's fine because it was his brother's guest, so his brother was harboring Kayla. So Kayla, they want her to do better, but they're trying to find a way, like, get her into a program, like another jail that has a program for drugs. She's got a drug problem. She's got to get clean. I think she's their star witness. They're trying to bend over backwards to help her, but she can't seem to help herself. So that's the update on Kayla Montgomery in the Harmony Montgomery case. So she's in custody right now.